Welcome Questafarians to the weekly CEO Apple. I'm doing this on the road today, our message today, for two reasons. One, because I'm driving to Toowoomba and there's a lot of time to think, and there's also time to do things like the weekly CEO Apple. But secondly, as I've been driving here to Toowoomba, and as I go past lots of trees, and as I think impatiently I want to get to Toowoomba now, but I realise it's a journey and I need to be patient. It makes me think of a little bit about where we're at the moment in terms of Quest, and it made me think about a time in my life as a younger fella, still young clearly, where I was in a situation where being able to see what was ahead, being able to have hope in the light at the end of the tunnel, gave me the strength I needed to take each step to get there. So what I'm getting at there is, at the moment, each of us in our roles have some real pressures. We have some situations that are stretching us, there's no doubt about it. And sometimes when we're under so much pressure, when we're stressed, it's difficult to be able to see outside of the current situation. And I know for myself that I have to break it up into small tasks, into steps, to be able to break down what could seem overwhelming as a whole. And sometimes it's hard to see outside of the situation we're in unless we break it down. I remember when I was the age of 14 living on the streets for a number of months, and I could have easily become consumed and overwhelmed by any given day, not knowing where I was going to get food from, not knowing where I was going to sleep that night, let alone whether I was ever going to go back to school or whether I was going to be able to integrate into society again. And the only way that I survived was breaking it down into the survival steps, and having some clear little steps that I was to achieve that day. The old saying, a journey is made up of 1,000 steps, and it starts with the first step. I remember one time late in the evening, travelling from the Sunshine Coast to Gympie in a car. It was a terribly old rusty HJ Holden, and I was just a passenger. I was only 14 at the time. It was coming into winter, and we're in the Pomona Hills, and our car broke down because we ran out of petrol, and I was dressed in a shorts and a shirt and a singlet, We're in the middle of the Pomona Hills. It was freezing, getting close to zero temperatures, and we had to walk about 25 kilometers to get fuel. And I remember thinking of the task and thinking, how on earth am I going to walk 25 k's to get petrol at 12 o'clock at night and 25 k's back? And I was overwhelmed, and I realized that I had to break this down into half an hour chunks. I had to break this down into little goals of the next 30 minutes, because I was freezing, I was hungry, I didn't even know how we were going to get fuel because we didn't have any money, and I felt overwhelmed. And as I broke it down, I was able to achieve that task of finding fuel at about 4 o'clock in the morning, and then spending a number of hours walking back to our car. And what seemed an overwhelming task at the time was achievable, and we walked up to close to 50 kilometers getting fuel. And although I was freezing, although I didn't know if we were going to make it, we did make it, and we got through. I think about Quest at the moment, and there are some challenges that seem insurmountable, and yet if we work together to break down what are the important tasks and take it step by step, I think all the golden apples apply. We need to have a growth mindset. We need to see that it's possible. One thing that got me through when living on the streets was always knowing that there was something better. I knew there was a better life. I knew there was a plan for me. I knew that I could do more than where I was at that point in time. So there was always a goal, a vision, a better world just around the corner. And that gave me hope to continue to reach up and to take the steps I had to take at that point in time. I think if we can see that Quest, we are striving to achieve some great things. We are cracking into some different markets. We are passionate about what we do. When we come back to our why, we are willing to get out of bed every single day of the week for our why, and yet we're being challenged by administrative and audit and government imposed things that we need to deal with at the moment, and that's our reality. But if we can see past that and connect back with our why, if we can see what we're aiming to achieve in the next 12 months, then with that growth mindset, we can continue to make plans to take the steps that we need to day by day. And we can be less overwhelmed and more empowered when we take that approach. I know that some golden apple number 6, setting goals, is important now. Little goals and big goals. Golden apple number 7, let's look after each other and love each other. Golden apple number 8, we got to be mates, we got to get through this. Golden apple number 9, take some quiet time when you can during the day, before work, after work, to replenish, because there's more to life than work, let's be honest. But guys, I hope you don't mind my clumsy message in the car, but as I'm traveling to Toowoomba and thinking, oh, I've still got so long to get there, I could think the same about Quest. I could think the same about some of the challenges in my personal life. But as we have a growth mindset, as we set goals that are daily, goals that are weekly, and as we have hope of the bigger vision,